Hello, welcome to another Warcraft 3 Reforged video with Shaboy Witty. And this time we're going to be taking a look at another one of Book of Flames videos. And this one is Warcraft 3 Reforged beta gameplay Orc versus Human with the 1080p 60 max settings. So without further ado, let's get started. If you enjoy this content, please make sure to thumbs up the video. Thank you very much, Book of Flames, for uploading the video, so that way I can even do this commentary in the first place, so I can give my thoughts, reactions, opinions, and just general ideas about what is going on in the game and what can perhaps be improved. This is all work in progress. None of it is truly finished. You can't even call this a beta build right now, because even though it is technically beta, it's like hacked beta. It's not released by Blizzard officially. So here we are, starting off with the Orcs. The Great Hall, very reminiscent of the original. Only the burrows and the rest of the Orc buildings seem to look quite different, but this Great Hall looks almost spot on to the original. There's just more focus on the tree stumps that are surrounding it, which gives more of that kind of basic Orc tribal vibe, which I do like. The barracks is very small looking, so if you haven't seen the original previous video, I covered another gameplay video, Human versus Orc. That might be at the end of this video in like one of the little panels that you get at the top left, or at the bottom left-hand side of the screen. He's zooming in on the peons. They look quite funny the way they're moving. I like them. They lumber more. The human peasants, they run a lot more. The animation doesn't always look like it lines up, like it almost splits in points, so the looping isn't actually quite finished yet. At least it feels that way. Whereas these Orc peons, they got this kind of sort of hilarious waddle going on, which fits how they look. I have said before, I am personally prefer the original peons, more naive and more innocent and silly and younger, but these older ones have their own flair, and I can get behind them as well. I'm not going to sort of withdraw just because of that. They seem to be working for me. Like, just concentrate on how those peons are moving right now. Their arms just follow around with their leg movement as well. And they are running, but they're just doing it in a more comical way, which I think is more reminiscent of Warcraft. I feel like he's trying to go with a headhunter build. I didn't quite catch what hero he's producing. Work. That sounded like it was like lower voiced. There's the Tauren chieftain.
I have an axe to grind.
Okay.
For my ancestors.
He looks a bit like a furbolg, actually. See, I can't quite get behind the face of Cairn, because it doesn't look like the face of the one that I know. I like the little head shake he did there, though. That was nice. Little touches like that are cool. Which the original models themselves have little touches like that. But you're just seeing, like, essentially the HD version. There's the headhunter icon. Very obvious. You got the vicious-looking grunt, which, you know what you're getting, basically, from those Orc structures, the Orc barracks, unit-wise. Warmill looks really good. Like, I'm enjoying the looks of these buildings. The Voodoo Lounge looks a little bit cluttered in terms of the amount of detail on it, considering how small it is as well. He's moving into position. These are the Murlocs. And they look pretty good in this environment, actually, on a sandy shore. I like the looks of those. If you look at those icons as well, the Orc Frenzy at the bottom left. Pretty cool, but it almost looks like a new character model. It looks, I guess it can work. So there's the Cloak of Shadows, just a high HD version of the original model. So, I like the fluidness of how this looks, though. At least the portraits for Cairn. Like, it's just, he doesn't look like Cairn, but the model itself is cool. It's not actually supposed to be Cairn, though, is it? Thinking about it. At least I don't know. It's not supposed to be Cairn. Because in this Warcraft 3 Reforged, the heroes that come out of the altar in melee games are not the same, because we saw that, actually, thinking about it, with Archmage. He's bold, whereas he's not Antonidas. The Mountain King has got brown hair. He's not got the blonde hair of Myrmidon. So, technically, this isn't Cairn anyway. But the model for Cairn still doesn't look like Cairn, as far as I'm concerned. It's just something, a bugbear, because essentially, he's my favourite hero. The voice is there, but then again, that's the original voice. So if you're looking at this as its own separate model, it's okay. Does it just look a little bit too wolf and bear-like to look like a tauren? What do you guys think? I'm not entirely convinced on how the portrait looks for the Tauren Chieftain model. I think the model itself, in-game, looking down isometrically, looks like a Tauren, behaves like a Tauren. The giant sort of totems in the back really give that away. You can see the tail behind, the big old axe swinging away. Good. I think that works for me. It's just this portrait. The close-up on the face just doesn't quite... It is a Tauren, but it ain't. It's such a weird thing I can't seem to get over. I know. You may be thinking completely differently, but I've got really different thoughts. That Great Hall has a strange upgrade, so I don't think that's finished, but it is moving into the next stage. So he's going to be tier 2 shortly. I have to assume. It looks like it's upgraded, looking pretty big. The headhunters are moving into position. Next creek camp, a bunch of gnolls. He's going to start off with the assassins. He knows what he's doing, because those are the guys with envenomed spears. I love the gnoll models, to be honest. I feel like they've got a bunch of character. They got those hind legs, but they really bounce off the hind legs as they're attacking. They look very sprightly, very vicious. They could bite your head off. You know, beefy as well as agile. Tauren Chieftain taking a lot of damage, but the replenishment potion here will help him regenerate some health and mana. So pretty nice item drop there under the circumstances. I like the icons at the bottom right for the Tauren Chieftain. Looks like a second hero is going to be Shadowhunter, which I love that. It's so simplistic, that mask. It's just like white, red, the eyes sort of looking into the distance and the tusks coming out. The Shadowhunter icon is spot on. It looks great. I mean, you know what you're getting with that. So, what are we looking at now? We have double barracks, war mill, burrows behind. Wow! Yep. You can't dislike the troll headhunters, that's for sure. And he's got a lot of them. I assume he's going to try to work on the dragons, so we're going to see some dragon models soon. If you do enjoy this content, make sure to thumbs up the video. It does help, and let me know whether you guys enjoy this or not. So if you enjoy it, thumbs up. If you dislike it, then make sure to dislike the video as well. Whichever, you know, you feel you vibe on. We don't get much of a chance to see these tomes. I don't know if those tomes are finished, because I don't feel like I'm seeing them very quickly and clearly. Yeah, this Shadowhunter's weapon is way too big. I know it's not the original Shadowhunter. It's a different version of it, but it's just way too... It's way too distracting, because the Shadowhunter isn't a DPS hero. He's not known for DPS. He's known for support, healing, control with Hex, and sort of a utility class in the sense of placing down snake wards, serpent wards, to fend off the enemies. It's not really about him. He's supposed to be more in the background, so he's way too big and beefy. But then again, this is all work in progress. The thing is if you remove that weapon and just reduce a little bit of the shoulder pads and the mess that's going on, like the giantness of the shoulder pad, you could get more behind it being a Shadowhunter. It's very distracting. He's a little bit too wide as well, isn't he? Okay, he's got some micro going on. I wonder if he actually researched the headhunters. I don't think he has, because it would have glowed at the bottom left, at the bottom right here. The icon, most likely, to show that it's available. The headhunter healing. There's the healing wave. Very, very small, the animation for healing wave. It looked nice, but I feel like it should look a bit bigger, wider. Because in the original, it does, and it's very obvious that that healing wave is a threat. You don't want your enemy's Shadowhunter to be healing. You need to see what they're healing, so when it's very massive, you can see exactly which units it's bouncing to. There, it felt like if you weren't paying attention, you wouldn't spot the right sort of like a combination chain. He's moving on to the Ogre Magi. So these ogres are way bigger in this game. Even the trolls themselves are very tall. Look at the size of those green trolls compared to his own headhunters. Ah, that was Bloodlust though, to be fair. Okay, so fair enough. Those trolls were fine. That was just Bloodlust. That did throw me off there for a second. I was like, hang on a second, why are they so big? But the ogres, they're supposed to be big. It just feels weird when they're that tall. It's another thing I just got to get used to. There you go. He's researching the health regen. He's got a couple of spirit lodges, focusing on shaman. He's getting some spirit walkers, which are one of the weirdest looking units so far. So we'll get to see some of those. The icons are just nice because they are so reminiscent of the original icons. The pillage, you know, the regen itself for the trolls. But they're just, it looks like it's brought up to date. And I like the pig. Of course I like the pig. There's the shockwave. That was obvious that was a shockwave. It's just sort of, like someone said, it was like Israel's ultimate, I think it is. I haven't played League of Legends in a long time, but Israel has like a shockwave type ability. What's the chest? I like how the chest is kind of bobbing up and down. And what I would prefer, and I said this in the human versus orc gameplay video that I watched, is that the chest is more for like custom games or an RNG item. So you don't know what you're going to get. That chest bobbing up and down, you could pick that up. It could be a circlet. It could be a slippers of agility. It could be, you know, mantle of intelligence. But for melee games, competitively, I would much rather see the actual item that drops. And I know they can do that because it's been done in the original Warcraft 3 for quite a few of the models. Like I say, at boots of speed, you can see these boots of speed bobbing up and down and spinning round. Almost like in Quake or something like that, where you see a booster or something. You can very obviously see what it is and whether you should be picking it up. Moving into the next creep camp. Dragons look really weird to me, actually. Very different models compared to the original. The originals are more goofy and sort of bigger, chunkier looking. These ones look more slim and... I mean, the whelps look a bit fatter, so they kind of should do. Like, they're babies, like the baby fat. But the drakes look very slim. Oh, there's the terminology. Ah, that looks pretty cool, that model. Did you see that? So it's spinning around, and then as it's picked up, the boot sort of flips open, and the pages sort of flip over as well. So I quite like the look of that. It was, like, subtle, but at the same time stood out. I think he's got berserkers, because those headhunters look a lot bigger to me. Okay, he's moving his casters into position. Spirit Walker with the Spirit Link. Again, very slim lines, the animation, the spell effect. Not very reminiscent of the original, which is sort of bigger, chunkier, wider. He's moving in against the human forces. They are very much in trouble. He's producing Thrall, or the Farseer. And that one actually looks like Thrall. So it's almost like he unlocked a skin or a model to get that, which I assume is what we'll probably be able to do, thinking about it. Is for melee games, you'll probably be able to unlock different models, which I would actually like, to be honest, because that way you could sort of see what that player's personality is like, in terms of what style of hero they go for, and the looks of their characters. That Tauren Chieftain is incredibly scary, though. Bloodlusted. He's as big as the buildings. Like, look at him compared to that arcane vault. That's crazy. The militia are coming in now. Have the militia got defend? I don't think they do. They were just kind of moving slower as they were approaching him. Unlock through the in-game store. Probably. Let's face it. Well, this human looks pretty done for. Unless the Blood Mage can do something about it. Oh, the Flame Strike. It's going to completely turn the tide. He's just leveled up as well. That gives him a little bit of a health boost. Enough to escape the Horde's vengeance. Spirit Walker moving in. More Spirit Link, or intended to cast it. He's draining. Oh, that drain effect is pretty cool. I like the waviness of it. Again, the originals for the spell effects are wider. They're thicker. Which is important because it means they're more obvious that they're being cast. However, I think we could all see that Siphon Mana was going off. So it's not like you can't see it. It's just I prefer things to look as obvious as possible for competitive reasons. As well as for the viewers watching it. So they can identify. Their brain can pick up on it like that. Level 2 Shadow Heal or Healing Wave. Up to 53 food. He's going for a Tauren And he's upgrading Pulverize after that. He's getting Witch Doctors as well. Just trying to throw in all the units at this point before the game is over. The expansion is being filled up too. I want to see the Headhunters. Like, I need him to sort of select the Headhunter individually. Because I think they're still the original Headhunters. I'm not sure if they've been upgraded into their Armani Berserker stage yet. I don't remember him researching it, but I might have missed it. The Tauren looking like he's slipping through there, but that log lets you know that he's definitely going to be a threat. Especially with the Bloodlust. Let's see a Pulverize proc. Come on, give me a Pulverize proc. Oh, he hasn't got it yet, has he? So you're not going to see it. It's still going to take like almost a minute to research. It's very slick and smooth though. The spells, like they're spinning round, and when the links and the chains connect with the healing wave, the spirit link, it's very fluid. So it looks good. I just want it to be bigger, more obvious. Let that player know what's going on both sides. Particularly in 4 versus 4 RT. You've got 8 people in the battlefield. You want to see what each and every single person is doing. There's a lot of clutter, and you need to visually identify which things are the threats, etc. Those are Berserkers, are they? Kitson says. Okay. So they're slightly bigger, but they don't look quite as cool as the Armani. They look better there, but that's because they're bigger from the Bloodlust. I really like how the Berserker... Yeah, you can see it's fully researched because there's nothing left to research for the Troll Headhunter. I prefer the Armani look that they have in the original Warcraft 3. Like, they're really sort of bulked up. They still look good, but they don't look like they've upgraded as much from their original forms in comparison to the original Warcraft 3. When you compare the Headhunter to the... Trust me, you can see the difference. But then again, it's not a big deal. It's just criticism, that's all. Not a big deal. Shadowhunter looking bigger and bulkier and beefier than even anything. Look at the size of him. I mean, yes, trolls are tall, and they hunch over a lot. So technically, they're very, very tall. He's just so massive with that weapon. It's so distracting. It's so distracting. I'm just chewing on a lozenge, by the way. That's what that noise was. I didn't break a tooth. Even though you might have thought that. Okay, the Pulverize effect just went off. A little bit of sort of steam coming off, so you can clearly see that that spell effect isn't finished. Which is similar to... You know how the Shaman died in the previous video that I uploaded? Human versus Orc. Again, check the end of this video. It'll be at the bottom left. You can watch that as well if you haven't seen it. Or just check the channel, youtube.com/WTiiWarcraft. Warcraft 3 Reforged content, like, every day, all the time. All days, all time. Every minute of every day. I'm just covering as much as I can. I love the Feral Spirits, how they're sort of spread out, ready to sort of attack. But they don't look quite ethereal like they maybe should do. But it's not a huge deal. You pretty much can identify that those are Feral Spirits if you've played this game before. So, the Tauren... The spell effects, like, you get these kind of like little icons that sort of float off of the unit itself when it's casting a spell effect that isn't finished. Like the Shaman have something where if they get killed, they kind of like have these kind of almost, I think it's like a greenish glowing effect that surrounds them, all blue. I can't remember the color of it, but they sort of fall to the ground and die. But like stuff sort of grows up, and that's what happened in the previous video. In this one, you saw the Tauren do the Pulverize, and a lot of little icons just popped up. That Shadowhunter is so big! He's so big! Is he supposed to be that big? Okay. Going past the 80 food limit. This is it now. Those icons look very red and raw and visceral. Like for the buildings. Which is good because it's an orc theme. You know, they're bloody. They've got the wood. They've got the spikes. They got a little bit of blood. That's basically the horde for you. So the red tips and everything. The weapon upgrades look on point, just like the originals, but just better looking, basically. Like, it's very vibrant. These look really cool for like custom games. Like, if you look at the bottom right and focus on the icons that you're seeing, they're very, very vibrant. Like, look at the color scheme. Whoever's doing the icons is doing a really good job. Because not only is it obvious what you're being displayed, but it really jumps out of the screen and just, it catches your eye. There you go. So that's another video. Thank you guys so much. I will maybe cover more of these. You guys have got to let me know. Remember to thumbs up the video or dislike it, depending on how you felt. In an ideal world, I'd record some gameplay myself if I can actually get round to getting the thing working and playing it. Again, I prefer to wait until the official beta comes out and is released by Blizzard, but I imagine that's going to be after BlizzCon at this stage, considering how close we are to BlizzCon. It seemed weird if they just uploaded it like a week before BlizzCon or something. But yeah, there's more videos to potentially watch. So if you enjoyed this, let me know in the comment section below and have a good day. All the best.